All right, man, peace. So, brothers, in this video, we're going to be covering the Ayesha Curry situation. We're going to cover from a myriad of angles. And let me first say this, brothers. There's an old saying, if you like it, I love it. This notion that people should be condemning Steph Curry or a lot of the fake-ass strong male types on the internet, the quote-unquote red pill dudes or the MGTOW dudes who want to attack Steph Curry because he decided to stand up for his wife, that makes no sense whatsoever. As I've already stated, there's an old saying, if you like it, I love it. Steph Curry has been with that female for at least, 13, 14 years? It's very clear that their bond has a greater depth than some stupid shit that she said in an interview with Jada Pinkett Smith. At the end of the day, I'm sure that he knows, or he has known for a very long time, how she has felt, a lot of the confidence issues that she has, and to be in a long-term relationship with many of these modern Western civilization super liberal females today, that does entail that you have a great deal of patience and that you grasp that you are in a relationship with a child with breasts. You must enter into the modern day relationship dynamic with that understanding, or you're going to be flabbergasted. You're going to be presented with enigmas and conundrums that are going to beset you with all types of mental issues. And that's why a lot of these guys lose their mind. They put the woman on a pedestal that she never should have been on in the first place. All Ayesha Curry is a woman. And the fact that Steph Curry has decided that he's going to side with his wife, number one, that's what he's supposed to do. It's not like she actually went out there and committed adultery. But number two, he's been a simp for a very long time. That's a part of his branding. That's also a part of his programming. Steph Curry is handled. He's controlled by his mother, his wife, and now his daughter. That's a convention known as the Triple Goddess Convention in the Mother Goddess movement. The Triple Goddess, for those of you brothers who don't know, is comprised of the Old Crone, the Mother Goddess, and the Young Maiden. So, for example, you have Juno, you have Demeter, you have Persephone. You understand that? We saw the same convention in the film Black Panther, where the Black Panther, even though supposedly he was the hero, the sources of wisdom were the Old Crone, i.e. his mother played by Angela Bassett, the quote-unquote Mother Goddess archetype or his wife archetype played by Lupita Nyong'o, and then the daughter or the Young Maiden archetype. Now, the Black Panther did not have a daughter, so the Young Maiden or Persephone or what have you, the young goddess of wisdom, was his sister Shuri. They were far more mentally competent than the Black Panther was in that film. And that's the same dynamic that we see with Steph Curry and the dominant matriarchs in his family. He's always going to side with them because he's accustomed to being dominated by them. But once again, people are getting way too upset about this. I have news for you, brothers. The vast majority of females are just like Ayesha Curry when it comes to many of the inadequacies that they feel, the insecurities, so on and so forth. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know why? Because that's just the nature of the woman. In this society, the woman has been propped up to to make herself believe. And the men or the males who have never been instructed on the woman to believe that she's this unassailable figure, this super strong archetype, this unconquerable type of deity. And she's not. She's just a woman. You have to love and support the woman, at least your woman. You have to love and support your woman as long as she does not go overboard with this shit. But in general, you have to understand these dynamics, because if not, you're going to get sucked down this vortex of over emotionality about things that should not concern you. If I'm Steph Curry and I've been with this female for 13, 14 years, I already know all of her ways. I know the problems that she has, and we've been dealing with them. The fact that she decided to make herself transparent enough to get on TV and talk about them means what? That means that most likely she's not going to act out on those things. There are many females out here right now who are fronting on television, who will say, yeah, I love my husband and everything's great. And as soon as the cameras are off, she's on Instagram checking her DMs or whatever to see who's hitting on her now. Okay? So we know that for the most part, Ayesha Curry's not going anywhere. The real problem is that she's jealous of Steph Curry. That's the real issue. The real issue is not that she wants some side dick. The real issue is that she's jealous of him. She linked up with him in the first place because she thought that they were going to be some type of quote-unquote power couple. She believed that she would be able to siphon much of the energy that he was generating to her to amplify her own career. She wanted to be an actress. That failed. Now suddenly she wants to be a chef. It's the same thing with Khalees and Nas. Khalees was trying to be a singer. That pretty much has failed. Now all of a sudden she's a chef. That's the nature of the woman. They go through all of these issues and phases throughout the youthful aspect of their life because they're constantly being told that, that they're wiser than they actually are. All of these females are being made to believe that they're Athena or Minerva, some type of goddess of wisdom or what have you. And it's not until they get to be into their mid-40s, early 50s, where they can sit down and say, I made a mistake. And one day, Ayesha Curry, hopefully still being associated with Steph Curry, is going to say publicly, most likely in her early to mid-50s, I was bugged out of my mind at that time. I was insecure and I was disrespectful, because that's what she is. But my point is this: in relationships, you're going to deal with issues and people who have these qualities. And as long as it does not go overboard, or these issues do not emerge too soon, and they're not too extensive, then that's just a part of life. That's a part of a relationship dynamic. You are going to have to deal with the insecurities of your partner. That's a part of it. I have news for you, brothers. When your woman goes to work, she sees a guy or guys that she's attracted to, and she probably just keeps it to herself. At least hopefully for you, if you guys are in a respectful relationship. In the same way, when we walk down the street, we see a fat ass, nice titties, we say, damn, we might turn around and look. It just is what it is. The problem is that Ayesha Curry came out and said it on TV. It's not that she's thinking it, it's that she said it. But once again, to me, it's more of a respect issue than a I want to fuck other dudes issue. And the respect issue that she's having is that she wants to be equal to Steph. She wanted to be equal to Steph, and she understands now that's never going to happen. She wanted to be as big of a celebrity as he is. She's starting to understand that it's never going to happen. And on top of that, she's 30 years old. And as I've told you, brothers, in previous videos pertaining to the woman, when she approaches that 30-year-old area, she starts to re-examine her life, and she asks herself, is this what I thought my life was going to be? All women go through this at 30 years old, because at 30 years old, they view that age or that time period as the death of their sexual aspect. They feel like they're no longer sexy. So that's why you see her talking about how she wants other men to hit on her, because she's taking Steph's attraction to her for granted. It's not as relevant as another man hitting on her. And you'll see that a lot. A lot of these females will still dress scantily clad because their self-esteem is such a problem. The woman by nature is nowhere near as stable as the television will make you think. Nowhere near. So it's not really the man's job to try to change that core essential nature of the woman to be, to feel inadequate or to be insecure per se. It's just to make sure that the woman that you're with understands her priorities, that she does her job, that she puts you first, that she knows how to shut out the outside noise. That's the most important thing, because the issue's always going to be there. Y'all going to have to work out them issues. But as long as she's not completely batshit crazy, it is what it is, man. If you think that your woman ain't thinking about, or will never ever think about, how the next man's dick might feel ever again in life, you a fucking fool. Okay? It just is what it is. It's just that the woman is a far greater liar than men will ever be. Women are expert liars. They are far greater liars than men will ever be. They can utilize guile and chicanery to a far higher degree than men will ever be able to do. So once you grasp all these things, you keep them in proper perspective. And when we look at the fact that Ayesha Curry decided to be blatantly honest and transparent about her yearning for attention per se, because she's going through issues now that she's 30 years old and she's being defined as Steph Curry's wife and the mother of children as opposed to being a superstar actress, then hopefully you can place things in better perspective. And stop putting the woman on a damn pedestal and expecting all these things from her that she knows that she cannot create. She does not even expect them from her damn self. Once again, brothers, the woman is like a child, and you're going to have to coach her through certain aspects of life and through certain phases that she goes through, as long as hopefully you have the wherewithal, the prudence, and the wisdom to coach her, or the discernment to coach her. It's like anything else that has to be coached. You have to have the wisdom to coach them, and they have to be receptive enough to allow themselves to be coached. What I see here from Ayesha Curry is that at least she knows that she has an issue. She knows that she has a problem. And like many modern liberal females today, she's in therapy. Most of these bras are in therapy because there's so many messages that they're receiving from the television, from the radio, from their homegirls, etc. That's fucking up their mind. They have to have a strong man with patience to be with them and to tolerate all that bullshit. You understand? Like, she recently came out, and I'll probably cover this a little bit later on in this video. She recently came out and responded to some of her detractors, and I saw Gabrielle Union in the comment section. Gabrielle Union said, you have to speak your truth. Brothers, the reason why the woman said that she has to speak her truth is because she knows that she's not a creature of truth. The truth is the truth is one thing. The truth is not your truth. It's the truth. But when the woman says that, what she's really saying is that I'm going to say whatever I feel at the moment. And that's what's truly harmful and deleterious overall, is the lack of respect. But the fact that she said it, to me, is not off-putting, because she's Steph Curry's problem. She's not my problem. And that's how brothers need to approach these situations. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
How do y'all deal with all the ladies around y'all men? How do you deal with that?
Say we're out in the club and some girl is up in his face. I kind of liked it, because to me it was kind of like, this my man.
Right.
And you ought to be attracted to my man, and I'm okay with it.
Now, brothers, you see how Sonya Curry approaches the situation? That's how many women do, believe me. A woman knows when she's with a man who other women find attractive or who is alluring because of his fame, etc. That's a high for them, because women feed off of power. A woman will be with an ugly ass dude as long as he's someone who is of notoriety or acclaim or what have you, because women are drawn to power more than men are. Men are more drawn to how a woman looks. The woman is drawn more to what the man has. So that concept of the woman just wanting you for what you have to be cognizant of that. That's why Floyd Mayweather, not to digress, he would get into all of these domestic violence disputes in his younger days because he did not understand what the woman is and what she's about. He was allowing her to dictate the rules of engagement in the relationship from the quote-unquote falling in love aspect. And once he let that go and realized that the woman is an asset, she's a financial asset, she's a commodity, and she's drawn to environments where she can be quote-unquote comfortable. That's why you don't hear about any situations between Floyd Mayweather and women anymore, because he understands them much better.
With that, as long as my man standing beside me and making me feel good. But if my man turned around and was like, oh.
You see, Sonya Curry said she wants her man standing beside her, making her feel good. Brothers, once again, why do you think on quote-unquote Mother's Day, the first thing that people always say is, you have to make sure that you call your mother, let her know how much you love her, let her know how much you appreciate her. When Father's Day comes around, they don't say those type of things at all, because they know that the man needs far less maintenance. The woman always has to be told how great she is, how beautiful she is, how wonderful she is, because it's just their nature.
Which happened a couple times. I'd be like, hold up, no, wait. And I would solve it. I'm always one to solve things right then. I could be like, you need to back up. And you need to make her back up. And so we would just solve that right there.
Right. Stephen is like very nice by nature, and he's very talkative. He's just like you. He gets it from his mama. And so like everything's always like very, very friendly. And sometimes to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm a grown woman, so I'll just insert myself and be like, hello, how are you doing? Right.
Yes, that's exactly what she did to Roz Gold giving Woody's. I mean, Roz Gold on Woody. Back when the Warriors won their 73rd game back in 2016. And I agree with Ayesha Curry on this. There was no doubt in my mind that Roz Gold giving Woody's was after her man. And if Stephen Curry would have whispered into Roz Gold's ear after that game, yo, meet me at the hotel at such and such time. Me and you going to do our thing. I guarantee you she would have went. You could tell by the look on Roz Gold's face that she was after Stephen Curry. And Ayesha Curry picked up on it. And she was correct. And even Stephen Curry's mother picked up on the vibe between Roz Gold and Stephen. Stephen is one of those people who tries to act like he don't know that somebody likes him. And there's always situations like that. You know when a female want you. You know when she's ready to give up them panty drawers. Okay, so brothers, I just wanted to include this interview which occurred at the end of the very last game of the 2015-2016 regular season, where the Golden State Warriors were able to eclipse the Chicago Bulls record for regular season wins in 1 year. The Bulls had won 72 games in the 95-96 season, and 20 years later, the Golden State Warriors were able to eclipse that with 73 wins. Pay very close attention when it comes to the energy between Roz Gold, giving Woody's, aka Roz Gold, I'm Woody, and Steph Curry. It's very clear to me that both Sonya Curry and Ayesha Curry picked up on that dynamic, and they tried to intervene to the point where Roz Gold picked up on the understanding that they knew what she was trying to do, and she actually calls them back over to nullify that sentiment. So let's see what happens here.
Steph, you've been with this team, this franchise, since 2009. You missed the playoffs your first 3 years. To get to this point, 73 wins, and then have all these fans, and you're one.
You see how they descended down from wherever they came from? His mother and his wife. Why is that? Because they were in the crowd saying to one another, this bitch is trying to hone in on Steph. Remember, they look at Steph as their property. Both his mother and his wife view Steph Curry as their property because he's an asset. They're his handlers. So they said to themselves, this bitch ain't going to intermingle in between what we have going on right here. She's not going to break up a happy home. Because there's very little doubt in my mind that Roz Gold, given Woody's, was ready to risk it all that night.
Full family, and your mama and your wife here, and they all roared for you. What is the significance of this moment?
Come here. I mean, a lot's gone into it. A lot.
Now, Roz Gold actually calls Ayesha back over after she saw what happened, how they just jumped into the interview, because she's trying to let Ayesha know, no, I'm not after your man, even though, in my view, she was.
It's gone into it. Sacrifice from all the team, coaching staff. We have a great group of guys, and everybody's trying to get better every single day, which is what pushes us. And it's crazy to think. I remember.
And this whole time that Steph is talking, Ayesha standing there like, how come she does not want to ask me any questions? I can play basketball too. Once again, brothers, this is all about jealousy. If you pay attention, a couple of years ago, Ayesha Curry was even going out trying to play basketball. And she's not a bad basketball player, but it's just so clear what her issue is. She's jealous of her own husband.
3 years ago, having a speech just like Draymond did, thanking the fans for a great playoff run that ended against San Antonio. And from then on to now, it's been a great journey. So I'm just proud of everybody in this Warrior group, and looking forward to the next 2.5 months.
Thank you, Steph. I'm gonna take it to the woman by your side, the woman making the magic happen.
Wait, we couldn't wait. We had to
Come here, Ayesha.
celebrate.
What is it about your man that he needed 8 threes to get to 400? What quality is it in him that he's able to come out and get to 402 in a season?
It's God. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to walk off. It's God. God.
How much is it?
Ayesha Curry keeps saying she's going to walk off. The reason why she's saying that is because she's already investigated the situation. She's laid her stake. She's laid down her claim to her property, that being her husband. She jumped in. She kissed him on the shoulder, left her lipstick prints there. She let it be known to Roz Gold, giving Woody's, that I'm watching you. So make sure that you tread lightly.
Is family a part of what he's doing here too?
It's everything. It's the foundation of everything. I'm so proud of him. We're so proud of the Dubs. Go Dubs. We got business to handle though, right, baby?
What's the business to handle, Steph? What's next?
Now look at how Steph watches her as she walks away. And this broad is so damn concerned about the attention that he's getting. I mean, give me a break. But anyway, I just wanted to include this little interview because I thought that it was very revelatory, provide some insight to some of the quote-unquote insecurities of Ayesha Curry.
Like, I'm okay with it now, and I've obviously, like, the devil is a liar, and there's always, like, the ladies will always be lurking,
Right.
hoping for their moment and waiting. You need to be aware of that.
Right.
But for me, I honestly hate it. I don't like when I feel like.
She says that she hates it. Brothers, look. and this is an issue this is why I focus my channel on the so-called black man. I don't talk to the woman because, once again, the woman is her man's problem. Random dudes have to stop talking to random women as if they're going to respect what you're saying. It's It takes enough energy to make sure that your woman respects what you're saying and that your daughter respects what you're saying. And if we handle things more microcosmically when it comes to relationships, I think that cats will find that there's more order. And if you're with a woman who does not respect what you have to say, there's no reason for you to be with her in a serious capacity anyway. The point being is this. I think that one of the main reasons why so many males are so upset by what Ayesha Curry said is because so many males today are being raised by women. So therefore, they don't understand the woman. The woman raises her son oftentimes to worship women. And by the time the man grasps what the woman is actually about, he's 35, 40 years old, and he's made a bevy of mistakes. Cats have to grasp, your woman is not going to be like your mother. When you were a child and you walked down the street with your mother holding your hand, your mother wasn't looking at other little boys saying, I wonder what he'd be like as a son. I wonder if he clean his room up. My son doesn't do that. I wonder if he get better grades than my son does. That's not how it works. When she's walking down the street with her man and she sees another handsome guy walking past, those thoughts are going to be in her head. When she's at work and she sees a handsome man at work who's charismatic and friendly, those thoughts are going to be in her head. So the mother and the wife dynamic are totally different. We have to stop approaching these women like with the same expectation that you would have for your mother when it comes to loyalty. That dynamic, that level of loyalty and love with a random woman, for the most part, is not going to exist. She says that she does not like to feel like she's leveled off with somebody. In other words, she wants to be put above everyone else who's around Steph in that situation. That's another emanation of her insecurity. But once again, he's been with her for 13 years. He should be used to it. If he's been with her for that long, he should be used to it already. Right? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. After 13, 14, 15 years in a relationship, people are who they are. He should be accustomed to it. At the end of the day, he has to go home with her. So if when they go out, she's always trying to make sure that she's placed above everyone else in his vicinity, either he has to deal with that, conform to that, and abide by that, or leave her ass at home.
I don't like when I feel like leveled off with somebody.
Exactly.
It just irks my nerves. And so like we had the conversation about it, and he like tries really, really hard to make sure that if we're going somewhere, I'm being introduced.
Exactly.
Once again, brothers, this female is frustrated that her entertainment industry career did not pan out. The main reason why she decided to link up with Steph Curry in a serious capacity is because she believed that he would assist her in making sure that her career would be maximized. She was trying to be an actress. And and that's why you saw, especially over the last 4 or 5 years or so, they were always on TV together. They had a channel together on YouTube for a while, I believe, if I remember correctly, where they would do all of these unfunny skits. And it's clear that he was being forced to do so. And just on a deeper level, as I've already stated, she is his handler. Ayesha Curry is Steph Curry's handler. So when she says we had a conversation, there was no real conversation to be had. She gave him the order, the directive, and he follows it.
I don't like to have to introduce myself. It irks my nerves. So we try and I try and make that known. But there have.
And let me say this: she's correct. If she's out with her husband and they speak to new people, he should introduce her because that's part of his role. He knows that for the most part, when they're approached as a couple, he's going to be the source of interest from other people. So that's just a part of respect in the relationship to introduce her. This is my wife, so on and so forth.
I've been a couple of times where I've wanted to like punch somebody in the face for sure.
Yeah,
that's human nature. It's never him. It's always the
other ones.
And he doesn't necessarily know how to deal with that because he's like he's
just a nice guy.
Nice human being.
And he just wants
and he
everybody
can't
to
see
be
it
cool.
coming. Yeah.
Ayesha Curry claims that Steph Curry could not see it coming. I promise you, Steph Curry sees it coming. He's a grown man with a penis. He knows when a woman is approaching him and she wants sex from him, or the thrill of saying, I had sex with Steph Curry. He knows that. He's a grown-ass man. He's just making her believe that he can't see it coming because to him it's like it is what it is. You're Steph Curry. You can have sex with the vast majority of women in America, on the planet, who follow basketball. After a while, it's just not that big a deal. But to her, it is because she thinks that there's this struggle between herself and other women because she has such a lack of self-confidence due to the fact that a lot of the things that she thought were going to happen in her life have not occurred. And as I always state, monotony is a major issue for women, period. It's very difficult for them to be, quote unquote, stuck in a dynamic that's repetitive.
You can't see it coming. I see it from a mile away.
Okay, so now, brothers, we're going to move ahead to the part that has so many people up in arms and in a tizzy. Once again, I'm not saying that what Ayesha Curry said is something that should be said. I'm not saying that what she said is correct. But once again, especially the so-called black man, you have to have your eyes and your focus on higher things, not the so-called woman. They've sucked the so-called black man into this vortex of quote-unquote black love and the gender war and the issues between black men and black women. When if the so-called black man put his eyes and his spirit in the right direction, a lot of these other things will fall into place because you'll understand who the woman actually is as opposed to how she's broadcast, the image of her that is propagated to the masses to deceive you. Because if you make everyone fall under the vibration of the woman, that makes everyone far easier to manipulate. That's why I always state they want to accentuate Isis and Haru, or Isis and Horus, the mother goddess and her son. That's why they're always talking about single mothers and how strong single mothers are, so on and so forth, because they want everyone to be captivated by how quote unquote deep and intelligent and strong women are, so that you lose focus of what's being done when it comes to certain machinations in this society to deceive the people. But just to get back to the overall point, Ayesha Curry says something that was just way too honest, and she was just keeping it a little bit too real, per se, quote unquote. And at the end of the day, once again, she is Steph Curry's problem. No other dude should be getting that upset about what Ayesha Curry said. And I also see many of these liberal females in the comment sections as well. Oh, well, you know, Ayesha Curry, she should be embarrassed how she disrespected her husband like that. 95% of females are thinking the same shit that Ayesha Curry's thinking. The difference is that maybe they don't believe that their viability to actually get attention from another man is as high as Ayesha Curry's is. But believe me, you don't want to be inside of your woman's head. You don't want to know what she's thinking. Okay, just be be good with it if her conduct is upstanding. Because for the most part, the woman's all over the place. It's like, you walking through a candy store with a child. If your child is not grabbing at the candy, that means that they're well-mannered. It doesn't mean that they're not thinking about it. But once again, keep your mind on higher things, not on the vibration of the woman. The vibration of the woman is one of chaos and confusion. So let's see what Ayesha Curry is going to say here.
Something that really bothers me and honestly has given me a sense of a little bit of an insecurity is the fact that, there are all these women throwing themselves. But me, the past 10 years, I don't have any of that.
Brothers, let's pay very close attention to what she said exactly. She said that there are women who've been throwing themselves at her husband for the past few years, and she does not have any of that. Once again, she is juxtaposing herself with Stephen Curry. It's not even so much that she wants to fuck other men, even though you never know what tomorrow might bring with these females. What she's really saying is that she wants to be viewed on an equivalent level with him. She's jealous of him. Everything that she said thus far is about jealousy of Steph Curry, not so much about wanting other dicks and attention from other men per se, so on and so forth. So that's what has to be scrutinized, is this dynamic in this society between men and women, where women are constantly trying to create this contentious rapport with men because they want to be a man. And that's why I've stated that's really what the feminist movement is about. Feminism is not about loving women. Feminism is about wanting to be a man. That's why they always talk about equality. There are no two things equal in the universe. Women are not equal to men, and men are not equal to women. There are things that the sun can do that the moon can't do. There are things that the moon can do that the sun cannot do. And that's why it's so important to understand and grasp that. Because when you're always trying to live your life competitively and comparatively, that's going to breed insecurities. That's going to breed inadequacies. That's why she's always insecure. She wants to be a star on the same scale as her husband, and she's not. And she can't deal with that.
I have zero, this sounds weird, but like male attention. And so then,
You
like, I
don't
begin
even
to
realize
internalize it, and I'm like, is something wrong with
You're
me?
not,
like,
you're not looking.
what,
You're not
like,
looking. You're not even.
not.
But I'm gonna tell you something else too. When your radar.
Brothers, let me say this very quickly. Okay, all women want male attention from multiple men. Okay, there's such a thing as wanting attention in a, I won't say a positive way, but at least in a way that's realistic. And then there's a toxic search for attention. I don't sense any toxicity from Ayesha Curry in her search for attention. But once again, she is Steph Curry's problem. Okay? That's the overall theme of this video more than anything else. We have our own issues that we have to deal with when it comes to real life relationships. To get so caught up in the dynamic between Steph Curry and his woman, to me is not productive. Steph Curry has been with this female for years and years and years. He knows her in and out in more ways than one. Let's be concerned with our own personal issues and private lives more than we are with dribble like this. If you didn't know before this interview that women were insecure and that they have mental problems, I don't know what to tell you. You probably can't be helped. Okay? That should be basic level understanding. The reason why men get so incensed by statements like this that Ayesha Curry's making is because they were never taught about the woman, man. Stop putting the woman on this scale where she is supposed to think on the level of a man. The woman is not a macrocosmic thinker. That's why she's been given the maternal DNA. The maternal DNA allows her to actually think about someone other than herself, which is very difficult for women to do. That's why they're not good in vocations like administration and leadership over a large group of people, because they're not good with macrocosmic thinking.
Cars turned off because I dealt with that for years too. Like, and I was young, like you.
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh my
not
God.
fair.
I mean,
because I don't want it, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice to know that, like, someone's looking.
but
That
when
can
your
get
radar's
dangerous.
turned off, right?
That
You're
can get
beautiful.
real
Don't
dangerous.
ever think for 1 minute that it ain't no some.
Brothers, let me say this. Let me say this. When you have females out here who are constantly looking for attention from other men, you always have to grasp that there's the potential for the woman to step out. That's why I say you can never have real relationships in a society where the woman is not held accountable. But my overall point and the main point of me saying this is stop getting all emotionally caught up in what the woman is saying and what she's thinking. By the time you're ready to put 3 buns in her oven, you should already know what she's capable of. Steph Curry should have known what she's capable of and what she thinks and how she thinks from many years ago. There are no revelations that she's stating in this video that I'm sure Sonya Curry and Steph Curry were not already aware of.
Men out there looking at you like, I wish.
Honestly.
And I'm gonna tell you who knows that more than anybody. Your husband.
And on
It's so humorous to me watching this show and seeing Jada Pinkett Smith give relationship advice to someone. A person in Jada Pinkett Smith who, I mean, let's be for real, she's a pansexual. Everybody knows that. Allegedly, she's a pansexual. Running around having spouse swap, orgiastic sex in Hollywood. That's how they get down. Everybody knows it. So it's just interesting to see them giving advice on anything. And the fact that the quote-unquote Curry women who are supposed to be quote-unquote Christian sitting down with them is even more entertaining. But that is why the scriptures tell us in Ecclesiasticus, the 42nd chapter, to sit not in the midst of women. There's nothing but folly. All their conversation for the most part is folly and nonsense. And that's another reason why men should not be all up in arms over the things that these women say. You pay attention to what they say, you note it, so that you have a firm grasp of exactly what you're involving yourself in when you establish a relationship. But anyway, hopefully Ayesha Curry and Steph Curry have a fruitful and bountiful relationship and quote-unquote marriage for the rest of their lives, or however much longer this society lasts. Okay, so brothers, this is Steph Curry's response to a lot of the hullabaloo that seems to have followed his wife after she made the extremely transparent confession that she is jealous of her husband. Once again, as I've stated throughout the video, Steph Curry knows his wife better than any of us. And I doubt that they would have been together in their quote-unquote relationship as long as they've been if he has not been able to deal with a lot of her shenanigans. And who the hell knows? Maybe she logged into his Instagram account as him and typed this shit out herself. Who the hell knows? But I doubt it. Because as you read it, it reads like something that he would say. So it says, proud of you for being authentic and putting yourself out there, not being afraid of the potential bullshit and nonsense that could and did come at you. Way more positive than negative with all of this. Keep being you. I love you. And that was a great response by Steph Curry. You know why? And a lot of cats out there would say, what the hell are you talking about, Chronicles? What are you getting at? This dude is a simp. Once again, he's staying on brand. Liberal man, aka simp, is his brand. Why do you think Steph Curry has been reaching out so much to women, whether it's in his basketball camp or the little white girl that he says inspired him to start a female line of Steph Curry sneakers? It's because it's going to augment his financial profile. Right now, he and his wife and his entire family are a brand. Why the hell will he publicly come out and condemn his wife over social media for things or a thing, an attribute, a characteristic about her that I'm sure that he's known about for years already? There's no way in the hell that he's going to allow his wife's insecurities and inadequacies affect the bottom line. That being trying to turn the Curry family into a billionaire empire. That's what it's about in the grand scheme of things. Remember that being woke is very lucrative in this day and time. That means that Steph Curry is going to have to kowtow to the divine feminine. That's very important, that he kowtow to the divine feminine. I did a video about this months ago where I stated, does Steph Curry worship the divine feminine for real or for profit? That's why I did that video, because I saw where he was going from back then. Not only does he worship his mother and his wife and his daughters, but it's also very lucrative for him. He's making way more money. Always understand that the woman is a far bigger consumer than the man is. So if he can get females to buy his sneakers and his other apparel, that's going to result in more money for his family. That's where he's at. But anyway, hopefully Steph and Ayesha Curry have a very fruitful and bountiful relationship / quote unquote marriage for the remainder of their lives, or for however much longer this society lasts according to the will of the Most High. So peace.